Hey everyone, so I got 3 questions recently on Facebook. I figured I would answer them in succession. One, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin? Yes, I think it is a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. And the reason for that is it's boring right now. And when it's boring, it means the price is lower than it would otherwise be. When everybody wants to buy Bitcoin is when it's a frenzied, everybody's going crazy, the price is going higher every day, it's euphoric, but of course you're buying it at much higher prices. The best time to buy Bitcoin is when it's boring or scary, because that's when it's on sale. And so right now it is pretty boring. And obviously it's lower risk to buy it when it's boring. When you buy an asset when it's scary or when there's negative news about the asset, it obviously requires a higher degree of conviction, because, it's going down and it might keep going down. But anyway, search volume for the word Bitcoin is really low right now, which means the public is not really plugged in. People have gotten bored. It's been 7 months since an all-time high. I just think it's a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. So, whether you look at public interest, whether you look at institutional adoption, there's a million things you can check, and all of them would point to now being just a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. Secondly, should you put all of your money in Bitcoin? No. I am comfortable with a much higher allocation to Bitcoin than I normally would because of the nature of the asset, which I will talk about in the video immediately after this. But obviously, you do not want to put all of your money in any one asset. Now, if I were single, I would actually have 100% of my assets in Bitcoin, literally 100%. I'm not. I have a wife and kids, and Rachel manages some reserve funds. But as far as the assets that I manage, which is the majority of our assets, they are 96% in Bitcoin. So obviously 96% is an extremely high percentage, but it's not 100%. And, the reason it's not 100% is I have just enough of a reserve that if something bad happens, I could ride it out for a short period of time, waiting for the price of Bitcoin to recover. So normally you don't want all 100% of your assets in any one thing. And again, so I would say in my case, it's it's close to 100%, but it's not 100%. So anyway, so that's the answer to that question. But generally, the universal advice on that front is don't invest more in any asset than you can afford to lose. Now, in my case, can I afford to lose 96% of my liquid assets? I mean, it would be super incredibly painful, but, not unrecoverable. And that's my threshold as somebody who has a very high risk tolerance is, could I recover from a loss of 96% of all of my liquid assets? And the answer is yes. I'm smart. I'm hardworking. I have a lot of connections, and I've got, other illiquid investments, which certainly do not pay for groceries or anything like that, but, could become liquid one day. And anyway, so, general rule again is don't invest money you can't afford to lose. But I think, as I will cover in the next video, which is, how is Bitcoin different than other assets? I am comfortable with a much higher allocation to Bitcoin than I would be really any other asset. And I'll explain why. But, any other asset, I would probably never put more than 10% in or something like that of my liquid assets as far as an asset that's publicly traded. That doesn't mean, I've invested a lot in Prospera, but that's an illiquid asset. That's a private company investment. But anyway, so I will cover in the next video on the differences, but generally don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Although in the case of Bitcoin, I'm comfortable with a much higher allocation than I would be for any other asset. And I'll cover all the reasons why in the next video. All right. The last question was, could it go down again? Of course, it's a financial asset. The nature of 100% of financial assets is they go up and down. The question is, which way do they go in the long term? In the case of Bitcoin, I believe not only has it been the best performing asset over the last decade, and obviously since its inception, before it even had a price, it is also, I believe, has the highest potential upside of any asset, certainly that I'm aware of or that I can think of. Even from here, from $65,000 per coin, I think there's incredible upside from here. And but there will be downs along the way. So even in this sort of recent run up, I think the largest price correction since the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs was 27%. But yes, there will be price corrections. It will go up and down on its way up. And that will always be the case with any financial asset. There is no financial asset that only goes up unless the return on that financial asset is so small that you're basically just getting eaten alive by inflation. So yeah, you can stick your money in a bank account and get 0.1% interest. And technically in US dollar terms, you're going up by 0.1% every year. But it also means you're getting eaten alive by 7% inflation. So you're really going backwards about 6.9%. But anything that has any shot of beating inflation will go up and down. 100% it will go up and down. I just think the upside as compared to the downside with Bitcoin is far, far, far in favor of the upside as it relates to Bitcoin. So those are the answers to those three questions. I will try to do a video next on Bitcoin versus other assets. So I'll try to knock that one out this morning as well.